So I had my formal evaluation yesterday. I'm actually going to take you through what my students did during that time. So there are several stations in the back, and there are stations up here in the front. Let me actually go over here so you can see a little bit better. So I have 4 of each station, like I made 4 sets of each particular station. So for example, here's a reading station. There's a set right here for 2 students to work on, but there's also another set right here. And this is one area, but then there's also another area, in this case right next to it, where students can also do the reading station. So at any given point, there could be a total of 8 students doing the reading station. Same thing here, here's a writing station, although I'm missing 2 cards, but there could be 4 students doing the writing station here and 4 right here. The evaluation station is the only station that I have right now that I have 3 areas. So there's this area right here, right over there, and right over here. So at any given point, there could be 12 students. With the stations in the back, all the stations on this side, the exact same station can be found opposite. So like this is the exploration station. There could be a total of 4 students doing the station 2 here, 2 here. But then if this table is full, because I don't allow more than 4 students, there's also that side that they can do it. So again, at any given point, there could be a total of 8 students doing the station. I've talked about this before, but one thing that I do is I tape the cards down. Initially, when I first started doing this, I would cut out the task cards because it says card number 1. But that was a little bit messy because students would drop things on the floor. They would just start reading the very first card, although it says like card number 4 here, and this is card number 1. They might pull out this card and start reading this first. So what I started doing is printing the cards out just on one sheet, laminating everything, and then I tape everything down. Taping everything down is perhaps what takes me the longest in terms of setting everything up, but after my very first year of putting this all together, that's not much work. I would say the only other preparation that I would need to do is, depending on the station sets, there might be some stations that require students to color, so I have colored pencils out. The station over here requires that students highlight. So I have highlighters at both stations, and then this one requires a copy of a reading, so I have that prep for the students. And then some of the other stations come with pieces that were made when I made everything initially. So for example, like this station has cards, which I used a marker to color code, so in case for some reason like the students were working together, the set is yellow. So if I see like a yellow piece in here, that means I can easily find it, take it out, or a green piece in here, I can take it out and place it in there. The bingo chips I bought off Amazon a long time ago, but again, they remain in a little Ziploc baggie. And then when I'm done with everything, all of this and these all go together, and I just combine everything and I put them in a Ziploc baggie, which I'll show you in a bit. Again, this table also had pieces. So again, you can see that I color code the back before I laminate. You have to do it before you laminate, or else what's the point? And then I have another set over here that is color coded red. So again, if the pieces get mixed up, I'm able to sort really quickly and put those away. As far as station signage, I purchased the photo frames at Dollar General, the dollar store. And one thing that I'm doing differently this year as well is well, not this year, but since the last time I talked about this, is that I print the station sign front and back. So that way the 2 students here can see it, and then also the 2 students over here can still see the station information. Before I just had one, and I would put it at the end of the table, and then there were some students that would come here and they were like, where's the station sign? Even though I told them that's the first thing that they should do. Also, another thing that I added was a learning goal. So I tell students before they even start the station, they should come to the station, read the learning goal, because that's important, because before they can go to another station, I will ask them a question. So for example, in this one, they have to be able to write and name ionic compounds. So when they finish, I'm going to ask them, so describe how you name an ionic compound. Let's say, for example, you have these 2 elements, how would you name it? And so that's the overall gist to kind of keep in their mind as they're going through the station activity. So actually, let me show you where my stations are at, and sorry for the mess. And so I have a tote that says Blended Learning Stations, and this is the one that had all the ionic bonding stuff in there. There's still stuff in here, but you can see I have a bunch of like chips from when I ordered a long time ago. And they're color coded. These are like the smaller ones. I have bigger ones that I use for like atomic structure. So the bigger ones And then they're just in a large Ziploc baggie. So this one is like the periodic table. And you can see I have Ziploc baggies upon Ziploc baggies in here. So for example, I might have like the reading station activities in one Ziploc baggie, the observation stations in another Ziploc baggie, and then I put them all together and I place them in here. So this contains actually most of my chemistry ones, but I also started doing anatomy and physiology, which you can see the little model here. And so I have some anatomy and physiology items in here as well. And then the station signs also go here, fit. So there are times where we've done like escape rooms, and so you can see like I've color coded because they do like Google Forms. But all my stuff fits in here, plus other things. You can see all the other stuff that I have in there. And I just purchased these totes from Office Depot. And so this actually really helps when I'm organizing my station activities, because as I said, if I just took everything out of the bags and just placed them on the table without any tape, it would probably take me less than 10 minutes. But because I have to tape everything down, it probably takes me maybe anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes if I'm doing it really quickly and I just want to make sure that everything's set. And then I also have like the whiteboards that cover the sink, because I just don't, some of the items have pieces and I don't want the pieces going in the sink. And so I just use a whiteboard to cover the sink area. And then also just the station signage, because between different lab activities, I will switch out the signage. So like the next activity, we might be doing covalent bonding. And so I would take these out and then put the covalent bonding signs in there. And so that's just an additional prep. As well as I said, like the color pencils or getting my periodic tables ready. After students finish and they ask me a question, there's a sheet that I have them do. It's a Google sheet where it's like a drop-down menu. It might say like exploration station. And so they click on the little cell, a drop down of the entire class will pop down and they find their name and they enter it. So that way it keeps track of where my classes are in regards to the percentage of students that completed a particular station. So that's something also that I started implementing within the last year or two, because it helps me visualize how many students have completed a particular station, or if, let's say for example, after day one, I see that one station, like 90% of my students have finished it, but then there are other stations where like maybe like less than 10% of my students have finished it, then I need to adjust and plan so that way I don't have a large number of students. Because even for example, my observation, well, I had 4 of each station, so that way a total of 8 students can work at any given time. There was a point during the observation where this one station, a bunch of students still needed. Luckily, I had the evaluation station set up. So what I did is I told students to go over to the evaluation station and said, okay, there are some questions that you won't be able to answer. However, you should be able to answer most of the questions, because again, the evaluation station covers all of the stations. It at least gave those who were waiting for the station some time. However, it started to kind of like build up, because I had like one group of students, like 3 students that were taking forever at one particular station. And I didn't want to be like, you need to hurry up, but it just was taking them forever. So when I think back to last year, because I also had my formal evaluation over the same activity last year, I feel like the students struggled more. When I say struggled more, for example, just even adding things like +1, -1, because there's an activity where they have to put the puzzle pieces together and then they have to look at the overall charge. So there were some students that were asking me for help, and I saw that they had a +1, -1, and so I asked them, okay, what does that equal? Like they struggled to tell me the answer to that. Or +3, -3, really struggled to answer that. There was another activity where they had to do ratios and they had to reduce the ratios. So for example, they could do 4-4. Well, actually, they did 4-4, but some students reduced it to 2-2. So then I came over and I'm like, well, could you reduce that even further? Some were able to, yes, 1-1, but some students kind of like struggled. And then there was another one where it was 4-6. So I got some answers where students said you can reduce that to 2-2. So if you're telling me 4 divided by 2 is 2, well, that means 2 times 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 can't be 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And so some students right away were able to say 3, but some still struggled. And so it was just things like that, things where like for an advanced chemistry class, just over the years teaching it, where like students are coming in, I'm not sure if deficient is the right word, because I'm not sure at some point they learned that. And it can't be, I'm gonna just say in my opinion, I don't think COVID could cause all of that, right? Like there's just no way you've been learning how to add and subtract for years and then suddenly, you know, 5-6 months, your ability to add or subtract has kind of gone out the window. I could be wrong, I don't know. But it's just one of these things where over the years, the skills that my students are coming to me with, a lot of them are struggling. I'm not at a loss at what to do, but I feel like I'm having to go and resort back to a lot of elementary type explanations or a lot of more visuals. Again, granted, I do get frustrated in the beginning because I'm like, you should know this, but then once I'm able to kind of like get my mind quiet, then I'm able to kind of think of strategies to help them. That's the gist of what I did yesterday during my observation. I'm gonna be waiting for my results to come back in the next 4 or 5 days, because usually it takes about 5 days. But if I went over this really quickly, or if you still have questions, leave that down below in the comments, or you can reach out to me. As always, thanks for watching. Bye.